What's up, guys? Potato Chin here. Recording my third series today. So we got Frag versus Vrji. So everyone has been predicting Fragments to just smash Vrji 3-0. We can see from the replays at the top here that this did not happen. So I don't know if it's going to be like Frag, maybe he got hacks to game, who knows. Or maybe Frag is just, he's a bit rusty and Vrji smashed him like 3-1 or something. I guess we'll see. So to start off, Sylveon looks quite, I don't know, it's like Sylveon looks threatening in theory, but both Spectre and T-Tar can, like T-Tar, AV T-Tar just is a set meant to 100% beat all Sylveon. You'd have to be like fast, like fake, honestly just like you have to be like fast, like super bulky Sylveon. Like max speed, max defense or something like that to beat T-Tar. You wouldn't need to be max speed, you barely need any speed actually, but mainly you just need to be like speedy with like a whole bunch of defense to live Heavy Slam. And then you could like fake tears into Hyper Beam, I guess. A set like that is probably not going to have the firepower to take on Calm Mind Spectre, though, which looks quite threatening here. Regidrago, actually, Choice Band Regidrago just wins. You'd have to Wisp turn 1 with Spectre, which would be a ballsy play, because then Dragon Energy can just win. Actually, no. Wisp with Spectre is your play, because AV with Dragon Energy just, like, beats you. You really can't do anything about that mixed Drago. It can always just win with Dragon Energy. It's just too powerful. If you Calm Mind turn 1 now, you have to Wisp on a physical hit, and it can switch up again. It's just too strong, which is why I think Wisp probably is the play. So you could just go Spectre saying like, okay, my only play to beat Drago, if he picks it, it's probably banned. I'd have to just Wisp it turn 1. Cause I don't like, and if it's AV, like you'd think it might not get clicked here, fearing the AV T-Tar into these two. You probably wouldn't click AV Regidrago here. You'd probably be more inclined to go Metagross, right? Like Sylveon is probably better into these two than Drago, right? Like I feel like if I had an AV Regidrago, I probably wouldn't be clicking it over Sylveon here. Not necessarily me. I still might be because I know it's got great odds for Spectre as opposed to Sylveon. But just from Vrji's perspective, they may think that their Sylveon into like the 2 fairy weeks and that Spectre is a much better pick. So you could rationalize that they wouldn't really be picking a Regidrago here if it's AV, only if it's banded and it's a great pick into Spectre. They've got like Hammer Arm for T-Tar, even Outrage probably just wins that. And they just like smack Zapdos. And then Metagross is just kind of like a hard to call the T-Tar. Metagross is always just kind of like, it's usually like a 1-2 I find, but it's just very reliable at beating whatever that one Pokemon is you're afraid of. Like it'd have to be like Choice Band Crunch T-Tar to beat Metagross. I mean, even then, this is like a CB Metagross. There's literally no way. Have to be like max defense counter or like Babiri counter. It's probably like an AV Metagross though, because you need it to be your fairy check here. Like your Calm Mind Feeny check, right? Like, because that's going to beat most Sylveon most of the time. It's not a great matchup in Sylveon's favor versus like Calm Mind Citrus Feeny. So in that case, Metagross really only comes out if you want to hard call the T-Tar. I don't think that's the kind of play Vrji wants to make. I think Vrji wants to pick one of these two. So personally, I think I'd click my T-Tar here. I don't know. This could be a CB Regidrago. Really could be, especially because like it's like a lot of steals, you know. Like I'm thinking like Metagross in particular. I feel like the only way you beat that is like CB like Crunch, something like that. Like I feel like this would have to be a Choice Band Regidrago here. So I think on second thought, I think I might pick my Spectre. It depends on how good my spread's odds do versus Sylveon. Yeah, this is a very hard pick for Fragments. Let's see what Fragments wants to do here. So Vrji is gonna go the Regidrago. Okay, he does go the Spectre. Let's see if he Wisps. I'm gonna call that this is Choice Band Regidrago. It's literally named Band. Wait, I'm kind of far away from my computer and it's a small screen. I didn't see that right away. This is called Band. Dude, okay. I mean, I'm still Wisping honestly. Oh, it misses. Is that? Yeah, no Outrage comes out. Oh, that's so lame. Okay, but you know, I called it. It's I called the Choice Band on preview. I'm so good. Yeah, I felt like that really had to. I don't know if it'd be Crunch though. Like maybe there's like Vrji might just be thinking like Fire Fang is good enough. It's just I didn't think it made sense for this to be AV because AV just like with only Dragon moves, that set just like auto loses to all steals. I figured this had to be some like Choice Band like Hammer on Fire Fang thing at least. Crunch is a really cool tech for Metagross though. I think that could be used more. The thing is, I have seen weakness policy Metagross a lot more lately as well, on teams that have a fairy check already. Like I say a fairy check. Obviously, you beat like Togekiss and Sylveon, but I mainly mean for Prim and Feeny, you typically need Assault Vest to win that matchup, and that's what makes Metagross like in Glastrier super splashable. Is just you can put them on as just like an AV fairy check, and they beat a lot of other stuff too. But weakness policy Metagross I've been seeing lately on a bunch of teams that already have a fairy check, because it just does so well against stuff like Regidrago that wants to just hit it with a coverage move for the 2-hit KO and like live its hits. Like you can just kill it with +2 mash and a +2 bullet punch. So I think that's a very cool set. So yeah, CB Crunch would lose to that. On to game 2. Alright, Corsola looks quite threatening. Corsola does beat Goodra despite Acid Spray because you eventually get the Cursed Body as you Amnesia spam. It's always going to beat Aggron. You just Strength Sap that. This is some like taunt nonsense. But even then, I feel like Corsola might just, if it's got Nightshade, it probably also still just wins that. Meanwhile, Aromatisse is going to be your Feeny answer, but I know that Frag does not know how to use Aromatisse. I watched like Frag versus Deg in, it was 1v1 majors, I think, like top 8, something like that, where Fragments he clicked like Moonblast turn 1 against Zapdos, and then he lost because like Moonblast turn 1 versus Zapdos clicking like T-Bolt or Hurricane or whatever is not going to win. And he was like, I was just 3-0'd by Zapdos, nothing I could have done. Like, you always win that matchup with just Encore into Disable to get the struggle damage with plus Rocky Helmet and kill it. But yeah, Moonblast turn 1 is not a play. So I don't know if Fragments really knows how to use Aroma. So I'm not sure how this is going to go. Goodra and Aggron both beat that as well. Because Goodra, it actually kind of depends. Spadef Aroma has much better odds, but the typical Fizdef sets don't have great odds because Goodra can Sludge Wave turn 1. And then you can't just like Trick Room disable that you can't Encore disable that. You're going to take too much damage. And if you try to disable Sludge Wave, then they can Acid Spray. And I think you end up taking too much damage from that to be able to win. So I don't think Aroma can typically beat Goodra. There's like Draining Kiss is this one set that can do well though. You can Draining Kiss and heal some health back, and you beat it, I think. And also Wikiberry, I think, like Spadef Wikiberry has good odds as well, because you get some extra health back from the Wiki that you wouldn't normally get if you're Rocky Helmet. Aroma has like a surprising amount of versatility, but at the same time, versatility could also be perceived as like it wants to do too much with one set. You know, like it really does wish it has those opportunities when you're not running them. So yeah. I'm gonna maintain my Choice Band Darmanitan in the first law rule from last time, mainly because these are great answers to fast Pokemon. You don't really need to be like Scarf on this team. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I feel like Aroma is beating a lot of the stuff that you need to be Scarf for, like Corsola filling in the other stuff like non-taunt Zera, whatnot. Because Aroma can lose to like Life Orb Zera, I think. Like Zera Plasma plus Play Rough can do too much sometimes. Yeah, I don't think this needs to be Scarf Darm. Meaning that Choice Band is a huge threat. Kills Goodra, kills Feeny. Vrji strikes me as the kind of player who would just be running an AV Goodra, not really like a quirky Custap set. I don't think Custap plus Aggron makes a whole lot of sense either. You already have your Mon that's like living strong hits from strong attackers. So it's just Aggron here into these two, or it's going to be Taunt Feeny into the Corsola. Or Trick Scarf Rest could also be it. In fact, Goodra's not the greatest Dragapult answer if it only has the one Dragon move and then a bunch of stuff that's resisted by. Well, I mean, Scarf Feeny isn't really for Pult. It's more for Spectrier, which these two also do struggle with. No, I think Goodra with Acid Spray wins that, actually. It depends. You'd have to be fair in, like, Sub-Spectrier, because Sub-Spectrier would win that. But that's, like, an unset. Who runs Sub-Spectrier? Come on. I feel like Spectrier is more commonly Taunt or Disable. So I think Goodra wins that. I think it might be 50-50s maybe, because they could like disable your Acid Spray and then Calm Mind up. I'm not sure. I haven't played that matchup up myself, and matchups like that, really long matchups, are really, really annoying to damage calc. So I usually just like to know those matchups beforehand, or I'll try to avoid them if possible. What do I think? Let me see if I can get my predictions. I've been dropping predictions in the previous videos. Let's see if I can get my predicts right. I think Frag. I think Frag is gonna pick the Darmanitan here. I think Vrji goes the Aggron. I think Virgie's gonna go Aggron. That's Frag picks Darm. Let's see. Come on, please give me. Thank God. Finally, I'm getting my goddamn predicts right. Holy, I've been so mad. Okay, Flare Blitz, and then this should just die to Heavy Slim. Yeah. Okay. What power is Heavy Slam versus Darmanitan? I'm curious. Like, sometimes Heavy Slam to get some weird matchups. Some Pokemon are just weirdly heavy, and you don't expect it. And Darmanitan is one of those. I don't think Darmanitan is that much. Hang on. It's 80. Oh no, this is Fire Darm. Still only 80 base power, right? Like, it's not 120. I can't spell Darmanitan. Okay, still, and I think this one's heavier too. Oh no, okay, it's same weight. Yeah, so 80 base power. But still, this isn't even choice bands. That always killed. Yeah, okay. It's basically like an Iron Head. Like a choice band Iron Head is gonna absolutely destroy Darmanitan when it's super effective. Okay, that's game 2. Okay, game 3. Let's see. Porygon Z is a really cool Pokemon. I really struggle to build with this guy, but I always love seeing it in preview. It's such a preview menace because all the different, like, I feel like it has a set to beat every Pokemon. You just never really, or like at least every common Pokemon right now. Like the only real one that it can struggle with is like AV or No, even like Urshifu, depending on the Urshifu set, it can win. And it's like most other Pokemon, it has a set to like reliably beat all of their sets, except for like Dragapult. So yeah, P2 is just a really, really cool Pokemon right now. Like, Specs, Dark Pulse, and T-Bolt can take care of a lot of the steals. You can, like, trick Pharaoh and, like, into Body Press, and usually, like, bulkier sets can deal with that. I've also just beat Pharaohs before with, like, Normal Gem. Back in DLC 2, or sorry, DLC 1 meta, I loved, like, Normal Gem PZ, because you could just Nasty Plot, and then you just Normal Gem Hyper Beam at +2 would just drop Ferrothorn. It was crazy. It would just die. It would just explode. Only +2. I then realized the Normal Gem was worse Life Orb, but that's okay. Oh, no. You know what Normal Gem was for over Life Orb? Because it's the same power boost after Gen 5. The Normal Gem only gives 1.3 instead of 1.5. But it was because you'd live Magnezone's like T-Bolt. You could live Magnezone Specs T-Bolt. You could Dark Pulse into Hyper Beam and kill it. That's what it was for. Okay, enough rambling about DLC 1. Back to reality. So, Specs PZ actually just 3-0s here. Because you just 2-KO Goodra with Uproar, I imagine. Maybe I'm actually wrong about that. If it's AV Goodra, which it should be, I think it may actually live, or at least be a roll. But you could also like trick the AV, I feel like, and maybe win that. Yeah, this is Specs Beam, and then if it's Uproar, yeah, that's okay. That's not 2-KOing. I'm not. This isn't like max special attack. This is some stupid like DLC 1 set, I think. Well, still, yeah, that's not 2-KOing ever. So if you trick the AV though, what happens? So I'm gonna go. Why did I put 252 HP there? Okay, so if you trick, but you have to trick at a choice specs is the problem, right? So I think it's still, well, granted, it probably goes for Acid Spray turn 1, right? So you'd win if it went for Acid Spray for sure, because this is not gonna be doing enough to beat you. You can then Uproar win, but I think, yeah, they just go for a Specs Draco, you lose. So it kind of depends. But then I think if they go for Draco with their Assault Vest and you don't. Wait, actually, that still does a lot. That does crazy damage. So Draco twice is probably safe then. Well, not if they trick you like Scarf Recover. Well, actually, if they trick you, they can't recover when they get the AV. So if they trick you as Scarf, though, you wouldn't 2-KO, but they can't 2-KO you. Yeah, so I think AV Goodra is actually always beating. Does Vrji just. Vrji made like 2 teams? No, wait, no, this is a different team. Vrji reused the. They swapped the Pokemon order and reused the Game 2 team. Fascinating. But did they bring like a Goodra every game? No. Okay, they're bringing very similar teams though, like 2 Metagross, 2 Agra. Yeah, this is fascinating. Anyways, not to look too far ahead. Quick notes: Feeny beats both of these guys, so PZ has to be a Feeny counter. So I don't think it'd be Scarf then, because I feel like Scarf can totally lose to like Calm Mind. You don't want to have to be tricking on attacks. I think this should just be Specs Hyper Beam to just destroy it. In which case, you would just run Dark Pulse for coverage, so AV Metagross is going to need to be able to kill with Bullet Punch into Meteor Mash. Or sorry, other way around. Meteor Mash into Bullet Punch. And that, I don't think that's a roll versus no bulk. I think that's guaranteed versus no bulk. But if it's any bulk on this Specs PZ, then it could be a roll or even guaranteed to not 2-KO. Which would be amazing here. Because so then they've got to go the Goodra. But Goodra also doesn't look bad. Like, you'd think logically this is Rapid Strike because, like, Double Dark is a bit weird. But honestly, next to PZ, I could see it. And you can also have, like, that bluff aspect of, like, who thinks it'll be Double Dark? Of course, they'll expect the Water one. But I don't know who's building for Frag, but I kind of feel like it would just be Rapid Strike here. Who is building? I have no idea who's building for Frag. I think it's Stable. I think Stable Prince is building for Frag. That's not a Radu. That's not a Radu thing to do. He wouldn't do that. I don't think. I feel like he would just go Rapid Strike here. In which case, yeah, Rapid Strike's not really coming out. You have two better Metagross picks, I think, rather than Rapid Strike, and it loses to Feeny and Guja. Wait, does Guja just win? Like, doesn't Guja just win here? I don't think he has much to beat Guja. I think maybe Stable kind of forgot about Guja. I don't think there's a lot to beat Guja here. I'm just gonna click play and see what because I imagine, Vrji does not go Guja. Vrji goes Feeny instead of, okay, I didn't expect this at all. So this is a fine play from Frag, because if you lose to Guja, you should just pick into the other two, and this, especially if it's like Specs Dark Pulse, has odds to beat both of them. And it can still beat like a non-AV Guja, I guess. Or they could choke an Acid Spray as well. Like, Vrji could definitely choke an Acid Spray on Trick. So yeah, all that combined, like, Peasy was a fine play. But I don't know what the Feeny here. Like, the Peasy was so obvious. And I know it beats these two, but like your AV Guja should as well. And it's much better into PZ. So we're going to see, like, maybe Frag will just drop this here. Yeah, this just dies. Okay. What's the score right now, though? Oh, Vrji's up 2-0, so they do take the series. That's unfortunate. I was really hoping. I really thought Frag would just crush this. Oh, didn't he get? Oh yeah, he missed the Wisp turn 1 actually, which really sucked because he knew the band as well, or maybe he didn't quite read the band as he read the word band. But he made like the good Wisp play here and didn't get rewarded for it. So I completely forgot. I completely slipped my mind that he just like lost this game 1 to hacks. So Frag should be up 2-1, but is currently down 1-2. But you really can't let that affect your mental. You just got to keep going. You got to look at each game individually. But I guess Frag failed to do so. Or maybe Frag got lucked for a second time. Who knows? That would be very, very unfortunate. And quite likely, because there's a Magnezone here, and these often cannot fit a Fire move. But I feel like it has to fit a Fire move here, because you're not just going to bring a Team 3 out by Magnezone. Still, if it's like Mirror Coat Magnezone, it could win. I don't think Stable's a huge fan of Mirror Coat, though. Sylveon is going to have good odds versus these two. It can definitely lose to Feeny, though. Magnezone should always beat these guys. If it's Specs Magnezone, which it should be knowing Stable, then like a Bulldoze Aggron could beat it, which is a bit of a weird set instead of Fire Move Goodra, or it could be both Fire Move Goodra and Bulldoze Aggron, just because Magnezone can be an annoying matchup. If it's Bulldoze Aggron, it wins, because you Avalanche, Bulldoze, Heavy Slam, and just win here. And then Feeny is great into these two. I don't know. Yeah, the Fairy versus Fairy matchup is always weird. Sylveon versus Feeny is always like a very weird matchup that you can see going both ways. It depends on the set as well. Like Scarfini always loses to Sylveon. It's more just like that Calm Mind Feeny versus either Specs or Fake Tears is always annoying. I think Calm Mind Feeny usually does just beat Specs Sylveon. No, I think even that has like rolls. It's so weird. I like no one knows when to stop Calm Minding. It's such an annoying matchup. Very dependent on spreads too. You can have like Spadef Sylveon, or you can have just like a more physically bulky Specs. So it depends on that too. And it also comes down to Moonblast drops. That's the real reason it's icky, is because you can like Moonblast after one Calm Mind and it comes down to drops. If you get the drops, you win. If you don't, that's why Moonblast is such an annoying move. I wonder if Sylveon should start just running Moonblast despite Pixelate. Like Hyper Beam and Moonblast. I don't think it's really fast enough to abuse it though. That's what's really annoying about Feeny, is it's fast Moonblasts, right? Okay, enough blabbering on about Tapu Fini versus Sylveon. That matchup's weird, and I'm hoping it doesn't come down to that. He has Vrji has an Aggron here, which is just like always a play into these. Feeny doesn't have a reason to come out, I'm realizing. Because Aggron beats these 100%, and the only reason to not go Aggron here is to go Goodra into Magnezone. You're never going Feeny here. Unless people have an obsession with running non-Avalanche Aggron, which I will never understand. It's just too good of a move to give up. It makes so many matchups that are like unreliable with Head Smash more reliable, because just like a 120 base power Ice move is so nice. And you can beat just grounds that you would never have a chance against otherwise, like Zygarde and Landorus. Right, but I'm also just thinking like Moltres Galar is a really good example. I've seen like Moltres versus Aggron way too much, where it's like, oh, do I predict the Heavy Slam on my Endure And do I go for like a Fiery Wrath on it, or do I Endure on the Head Smash, and then I can kill with +1 Fiery Wrath, whatnot? Avalanche can never lose that matchup, right? Well, I say never, but, you know, flinching with Fiery Wrath, an annoying move. Anyways, yeah, so I think it's just Aggron here, or you go the Goodra into Magnezone again. I don't think the Vrji's the kind of player who's going to try to go for that Goodra here when these guys both could be big threats. Like a Banded Lando Outrage could definitely just drop the Goodra. And Sylveon could also come out into these two. So I don't think Vrji's going to make that play into the Magnezone. We're going to see, though. They do. They do make that play into the Magnezone. But, okay, Frag goes the Lando and somehow loses this? Okay. So, it goes for EQ. Life Orb. Counter. Interesting. So, is that... Life Orb is usually a set scene for Spectre, I think. Which is weird, because it's not like Vrji was really using Spectre much at all. Not that anyone really uses that much at all. Life Orb is like an old set. Well, it's not just for Spectre. It's also for, like, Stall. But I don't know. You beat Stall and you use the SD. You really only need Life Orb just to beat Spectre, because you can SD into knockoff. It's like a really old set. I don't think Life Orb Lando is very good right now. I would be running, like, AV, or, I don't know, maybe some, like, I don't know what you run on SD. Like, I wonder if Custap Lando could be cool. Regardless, Life Orb is a bit interesting. And also, it's Life Orb, but he didn't Swords Dance to scout counter. He just hard Earthquaked. Because if you did SD there, you win, right? That's the entire point of Life Orb, is having Swords Dance. And he didn't go for it. That was fascinating. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I'm surprised that Vrji tried to go the Goodra. Maybe they thought, like, it can beat Sylveon, like, haha, I'm AV Acid Spray Sludge Wave. No, it had to not have a coverage move for one of these guys. Because you can't be Fire Blast and Sludge Wave. So I think it was just lost to Sylveon. Vrji was thinking, like, no way he goes the Sylveon into this. And instead wanted to go, maybe with counter he thought he had better odds versus Lando. But still, I'd be fearing, like, a Banded Outrage for sure. Even, maybe if he thinks it's AV, he's like, I live AV Outrage and I can kill it. Yeah, maybe he just knew the Sylveon wasn't coming. Because if you know Sylveon's coming out, you think you've got good odds versus Lando. Now I can suddenly see the Goodra play being a lot more realistic. As opposed to just on preview like this, I was kind of thinking like you're afraid of Banded Lando, Sylveon, even like a Mirror Coat Magnezone. Goodra's just a really hard play to call. But if you're like Max Fizdef counter and you're not thinking about Banded Lando, then I suppose I can see it. Still, I don't know why you're Life Orb when you don't SD. That was very weird. Yeah, that was a weird series in general. That Wisp miss at the beginning was really unfortunate. I'm still very proud of me reading the band off of preview. I just thought it made sense. I am curious to know if it's Crunch. I don't know if Vrji's going to happen to watch this. But if you do, I'm curious to know what moves you're running on Banded Regidrago right now. Because I think Crunch would be a great idea for Metagross for this team. Otherwise, you're kind of just relying on your own Metagross to check it. Which is not great for such a relevant Pokemon right now. I don't think Fragments ended up bringing one though. Yeah, no. Let's have just lost to Magnezone. I guess not. AV Metagross beats that. What about? I'm just thinking other Steel matchups in general. Aggron, Metagross is fine against that too. So Metagross does okay versus a lot of opposing Steels. That's just the virtue of like being a physically bulky Steel while having Earthquake. The other one I'm looking at is Celesteela. Like even Fire Fang is not going to be enough to beat Celesteela. This team should just lose to Steela. Unless you've got like a Trick Scarf Metagross, but now you're really weak to Feeny. I'm not a huge fan of this team in general. But Banded Regidrago can get rid of some of those problems, I suppose. The Goodra plan with this team was also non-existent, but Vrji didn't really want to go for it, I guess. Vrji was just probably afraid of like a single striker Shifu after all. But I don't know, because Max Fizdef AV counter is supposed to always beat that. So then what are you afraid of with the Goodra here? How does Goodra possibly lose here? Like just knock off Instant. You counter that too. I don't know how counter Goodra was ever losing this. Because Instant gets gooey and you get to attack after the counter. Like, these aren't running, like, SD bulk up. And you can Acid Spray anyways. You live 2 hits. I don't know what this was. One thing I'm going to do is maybe calc the Goodra. Maybe it's not Max Fizdef. It's just, like... But I don't know why you're not running counter. I don't know why you're running counter if you're not Max Fizdef. Yeah, this would have done too much, I think, if it was Life Orb. Yeah, look at that. That does... How much did this do? 76. Oh, that still can't be max defense. Well, these are usually adamant. How much did it do? 76... So that could be max defense. Oh no, I'm not bold. So that's definitely not max defense then. So it's something in between, I guess. Let's put like 120-ish. That something like that probably. I don't know. You're probably better off not running bold in this case. You'd probably be better off running like another nature for one of these bigger stats. And then yeah, like something like this probably. Yeah, weird set, very peculiar. But I suppose it works. I don't know why this didn't SD. Anyways, potato out.